It's officially winter at the shop here. So we'll see how long me and Dave can last today, but our task is to put this engine back together, which means cylinder head on, get the head gasket and the studs in. The first task is to clean the block and the head gasket mating surfaces, and I'm resorting to using a 3M gasket removal disc. So what I'm gonna do is go over the block here just like this, simply. Clean the old stock OEM head gasket off, and then we should have a perfect surface to put the new JE Pro Seal one on.
The gasket removal disc is fairly aggressive, so the key is not to apply too much pressure, rather be very gentle and light with it. We also used a 3M Scotch-Brite pad as a way to smooth the finish, as it was a bit too coarse for our standards with just the disc.
Well, we just Scotch-Brited the shit out of this, didn't we, DP?
We did. Wore this sucker up pretty fast, but a lot of elbow grease, and it actually got it down to a nice finish, didn't it? It's quite smooth.
It does. It looks pretty good in my books.
You can't feel any, grooves or high or low spots in it. It feels really nice and smooth. So I think that should make a good seal.
We're okay.
Yeah.
Moving on to the cylinder head now.
Yeah.
Fun times again.
Looking pretty good, huh?
Getting there. Looking clean.
Yeah.
This is probably as good as we're gonna get from a do-it-yourself perspective, right?
Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. I mean, again, I think if you rub your finger on it, you really can't feel any scratches or
imperfections.
Yeah, it feels really good actually. So
good.
Yeah, man. I think it's good to go.
There's going to be a lot of old gasket residue and Scotch-Brite pad remains lodged in the passages of the head, so shooting some compressed air into them will clean them right up.
So what I've got here are some ARP head bolts that we ordered from our friends over at Turn 14. And the reason why we're using ARP head bolts instead of the stock OEM ones is the OEM ones stretch, so they don't get the proper torque rating down when you try to reuse them. You always want to use new, not reused, head studs, and ARP is the way to go. There's tensile strength, I think it is, Dave.
Yeah.
Is unmatched. It's higher quality than OEM. So that's why we're gonna end up using these. Everybody always actually uses ARP. If you're building a motor that you want to handle higher boost, then these are definitely the way to go. Always read the instructions first, right?
That's it.
So we're gonna hand tighten the studs into the block. Then we are going to put some Ultra Torque fastener assembly lube onto the studs as well, the other side. Then we're gonna torque everything to 90 foot-pounds in 3 equal steps.
And there's your pattern.
It's as simple as that. Reading instructions is a good thing.
Apparently, we don't like to do it too often, but in this case, you gotta do it right.
Here we go. Putting the studs in. As per the instructions, it said hand tight. I am using an Allen key, but that's just to make this process a little bit faster and simpler. However, I will not be torquing this down at all. Just need to get it to the bottom of the thread, just like that, and we're done. And there's some oil popping up, which is making that weird gargling noise.
With all 8 ARP head studs in place, we're now ready for the cylinder head gasket.
Since I wrote a story about JE Pro Seal gaskets on our website, I figured I'd do the spiel for Pete here. So this is their MLS gasket, and like all MLS gaskets, it's got a spring layer in the middle, which gives it more expandability in a high pressure situation like a turbocharged motor like this is. OE gaskets are only good to maybe 1,000 PSI. This thing's good up to over 2,000 PSI. So that tells you that it's a higher performing gasket right off the bat. JE has also done a really nice job of putting in these almost O-ring like features around each cylinder, which really help it seal better in that high pressure area around each cylinder. You can also see they've got like a raised embossment around all the water and oil passages, so that helps seal as well. And this black finish is actually a 4-part process. There's like a primer layer, there's a Viton rubber-like layer, and then there's a silicone layer on top, which is really good at sealing against oil and coolant. So all in all, this is a very high performance gasket. It should take all the boost Pete can throw at it. So let's plop it on there and see how she fits.
The OEM service manual states that we need to put liquid gasket right along this edge before we put the head gasket down. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, which I hope is the correct method, even though we're using a metal head gasket, right Dave?
Yeah.
But we're all about taking chances here, doing things our way.
I think it'll be fine. I mean,
I think so too.
The
manual calls for it. Yeah, I think it's just a matter of sealing this area here, this here, from oil kind of running out the gasket and creating a seeping situation.
Yeah.
So that's why I think this is the way to go.
As one would expect, the JE gasket went down with 0 issues other than me fiddling with the timing chain to get it to pass through the gasket.
We have success.
Great.
Close to it.
Very nice.
And chain. Oh, we got the zip tie under there now. Of course.
That's good for sealing.
Yeah.
Fitment looks to be spot on, which means there's very little chance of actually blowing this gasket up like I did with the stock one. Now's the time to apply the ARP assembly lube to the threads of the studs because it's much more difficult to do so once the cylinder head's in place. Because of that damn timing chain and guides, sliding the head onto the block takes some fiddling, but after a few attempts, we got everything to clear and had the head sitting flush on the block.
That's right. It's time to torque our ARP head studs. Finally, we're gonna be doing it in 3 different steps. We're gonna go from 30 to 60 to 90, following our bolt torque sequence. Starting at right here, in the middle. Da, da, da. See, I'm just gonna go around first, get these seated. Or should I just go straight to 30, Dave? What do you think?
I think I like your idea.
Yeah, just like, because they're
Going
hand tight
first.
right now,
Yeah,
so
hand tight.
might as well position them in here.
Yeah.
See, they're all loose. Hand tight.
What does hand tight mean here?
What does hand tight mean? We had this conversation. What does hand tight mean? Does that mean hand tight without a tool? Does that mean like
Finger tight?
that's hand tight right there?
Because hand tight with a torque wrench is different than hand tight
That's
with your
right.
finger.
Wouldn't that be the truth? Okay, here we go. Okay, there's 30 on the first one. 30 on the second one. Nine. 10.
10, everyone. Whoa. All right.
90 foot-pounds.
90 foot-pounds. All right.
Now, this is where it's gonna get serious. Oh!
Get the workout now.
See,
Serious jam. There we go.
nobody ever likes this. I personally hate this job.
You worried about snapping a stud?
Of course I am. I'm always worried about everything.
I don't think you got the power to snap a stud, Pete.
Oh, you don't say that, man. Now
Maybe.
you're almost like jinxing it.
Really?
Yep,
You felt something happen?
I felt it.
What did you feel, like a cracking feeling or
No, like it's spinning the stud feeling.
in the block?
Correct.
Ah.
Like it's stripping the block feeling. See, this is what I'm talking about. 90 foot-pounds, too much.
Come back to that one later.
We will. God damn it. We're at 90, right?
I hope so.
God damn it.
Does that one feel like it's spinning on the block too?
Yeah? Jesus Christ.
Shit just got serious around here.
Too serious. Like, look at that.
Yeah, that's a lot. Probably partly because the position you're in isn't ideal, but
Maybe.
cold
See,
weather.
some of them just click well and some of them don't. Oh. That's right, people. This is stressful. Very stressful.
If you weren't freezing your ass off, you'd be sweating, huh?
Exactly. Warming me up real quick here. See, same thing with this one. Shit.
Feels like it's spinning in the block.
Just did feel it.
Wow, it's turning a lot.
God damn. All
All
right.
right, there you go. Maybe we just didn't have them seated fully in the block?
I don't know, DP.
I felt like they were, but...
Oh, god damn.
Doesn't feel
This
good.
feels like it's just gonna snap.
All right. One to go.
Do we take the chance here?
This is for all the marbles, Pete. This is for all the marbles. What do we do?
Ah, I don't want to have to rebuild this engine.
What
If
do
I
we do?
strip that, it's over.
I think you got to do it.
I'll tell you how I'm gonna do this.
Turn it down to 89 foot-pounds.
I'm gonna go to 80.
All right.
Let's see where we're at here. Oh, okay.
80.
We're at 80.
Try 85. So much for doing it in 3 steps. But
Yeah,
whatever
well,
at this point,
at
right?
this point,
All right, 85. You're sneaking up on it. 90.
it's there.
All right.
You see? Ah, too much stress for me over this crap.
Mission
Did I do them all?
You did, I think. I guess it wouldn't hurt to double check, but let's assume you did them all.
I
Pete.
think so. I think we're good.
All right.
Here's a precaution you're gonna wanna take, and that is pulling out the hydraulic lifters in your head and making sure that they're not full of air or have any air bubbles trapped in them, because if they do, then you're gonna get ticking, where the hydraulic oil actually takes up the slack inside the lifter, and if there's air in there, then it compresses it. You start your motor, you hear that clack, 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 clack. That's usually coming from your hydraulic lifter. So to make sure that this is just full of oil, what you're gonna wanna do is take some sort of cap or container, fill it up with oil. Then you're gonna take your lifter, you're gonna push it down, as you can see here. So it's all it's aired out. It's got air in it. Now you're gonna drop it into the oil here. And then what we're gonna do is push down on it. And when you push down on it, all that wonderful air comes out. As you can see, there's air coming out. And once the air stops coming out, we've got ourselves a lifter ready to go back in the engine, air-free.
Progress is officially happening here at the Speed Academy dungeon. Rockers are going in. Lifters have been bled. PT may have even smiled once today.
No,
No?
it's too cold to be smiling today.
Yeah, fair enough.
My nose is runny, but my feet are warm, so that's a positive, right?
Yeah, for you anyway.
Yeah. Yours, unfortunately, are the opposite, right?
I've got frostbite of the toes and of the genitals.
I think you may need to see a doctor for that one.
Yeah. Luckily, my doctor's a woman, so it's all good.
And in other news, we're about to install camshafts.
Camshafts, yes.
Yeah, let's do the camshafts.
They make power, I hear.
Let's see if I can line this camshaft up here
Drop some bump sticks in there.
on my first go. Off a tooth, not a problem. Still off a tooth. There we go. Okay.
And you know you're off a tooth. Why? How?
Because I've marked it, good friend.
Ah, the magic of paint marking, huh?
Right. Now this one isn't as easy, so it may require a wee bit more finesse, but there we go. Look at that. So we've got our paint marks here, and we're at top dead center on the crankshaft, so I think we're in time.
Next item to take care of was putting the cam caps back on.
And what are those newfangled devices, Peter?
That is what I like to call an oil squirter line. So it carries oil up and then up to the front here and lubricates the forward end of the camshaft.
Fancy.
Indeed. Technology. It's a wonderful thing.
From 1998. All right, tough guy, the cam caps are pretty much in place.
Almost, yep.
And that means what's next?
Well, that means I'm actually gonna have to torque these in 3 steps as well. I think it was like 1.4 foot-pounds, 4.3, and then finally 7.6 or something.
Foot-pounds?
Foot-pounds, correct. So
Wow.
it's not a lot of torque at all on these.
Wow, yeah.
And because our torque wrench doesn't go that low, we're gonna use inch-pounds, just convert the 7.6 to inch-pounds, figure out what that is exactly.
Yeah.
And then we'll end up torquing everything to spec. As I mentioned, according to the OEM installation steps here, we're supposed to tighten it to 1.4 foot-pounds first, 4.3, and then from 6.7 to 8.7 foot-pounds. However, the reality is this torque wrench, which is the inch-pound one, only goes down to 120. The 8.7 is 104. So at 120, we're probably closer to, like 9, 10 foot-pounds. So what I'm gonna do is use the old feeler method. Go around like this, get them kind of close to where I feel like they're getting tight, And then, once I do that one more time, I'm gonna follow up with the torque wrench and hope that I don't strip anything. Because man, 9 foot-pounds, 8.7 is not that much. So really, we should actually find out what 120 is, Dave. We could. The internet would tell us that.
Yeah, I'll convert it for you. And but I would think we're only going over by.
Yeah, the problem is, see, they don't even want to
foot-pound.
click,
Yeah.
which is a scary thing.
Yeah.
So there's one. See, one clicks. Some don't. You never know.
Well.
Yeah, and you don't want to over tighten one of these
No,
or
you
strip
don't.
the thread. You really don't. And I feel like we're pretty damn close with it.
Yep. Building engines isn't really precision oriented.
No,
anyway,
of course
right?
not.
Just
Especially cam caps, right?
tighten shit down and go rip.
That's right. Who cares?
20 pounds of boost, bro.
So what if you strip one of these? Not a big deal. That one's good.
Of course, the solution to all
close.
these problems too is to get a rotary engine, because then you don't have cams.
Oh, of course. You're just gonna blow up 13 of them like every rotary owner. Well, I think we're torqued to somewhat spec, don't you think?
Yeah, Speed Academy spec.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I'm confident with that job. We're good.
All right.
The final task that completes the timing assembly is installing the chain tensioner.
It hasn't popped off yet. Maybe I need to go backwards for a moment. There we go. So I figured that out very quickly. In order to get your tensioner released, detensioned from the actual clip that's holding it in place for it to be able to slide in, you just go back counterclockwise just a bit on the crank. And now we have tension. So our chain is officially properly tensioned. And it looks like our engine is spinning, which is a good sign, right, Dave?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't see any grinding going on the cams here, no metal shavings.
Yeah.
So I think that's also a good sign.
Clearly ready to make 700 wheel horsepower.
Oh, of course. As always. All right,
Next up,
on to the next step.
swapping over the Tomei oil pan.
Yeah,
Baffled
it is baffled.
with trap doors and
Full JDM spec.
more sump capacity too.
Yeah, higher capacity, has provisions for sensors, all that fun stuff.
And it was handcrafted in Japan,
That's right.
which gives you 10 cool guy internet points, I believe.
Of course it does.
All right, we're going to assume at this point that Pete will get the oil pan installed. And after that, he's got to swap a whole bunch of other crap from the... Oh, is that acetone I just spilled?
It is, but thankfully I put the lid on, so you're
All
okay.
right. So as I was saying, he's got to swap a whole bunch of crap over from the old engine onto the new engine. Alternator, mounting brackets, water pipes, oil pipe, you know, filter mounts and all that jazz. Yeah. So he's going to stick around for a couple hours in the freezing cold. I'm going to go home. See you later, dude.
You failed me yet again, DP. That's okay though. It looks like this episode's coming to an end. I've got most of the critical parts on the engine now, so the light is at the end of the tunnel. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial on how to fortify your SR20 to be a little bit more stout with a metal head gasket and some head studs. So we'll see you soon on yet another episode where this engine gets put back into the 240SX.
When in doubt, PT, just jam it in there, buddy.
I think a lot of people have made that mistake in the past and regretted it.
I never regret it when I jam it in, PT.
Especially when you're in doubt.
Especially when in doubt. Although usually I'm never in doubt.
Oh, that's good.